Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Rocket Chiro Podcast, the business and marketing podcast for chiropractors. My name's Jerry. I'm your host. I'm a former chiropractor. I help chiropractors with website and local SEO. I help new chiropractors get started. I help stuck chiropractors get unstuck, and I host this little podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how AI is affecting search and SEO, what its impact on Google is, and this is going to be me sort of guessing as to how this is all going to play out because AI is becoming more and more popular. I had a longtime listener of the podcast reach out to me and ask me this question. I thought it would be an interesting episode, and so I have formulated some thoughts, my own thoughts, not AI thoughts, because I asked AI how AI was going to affect local SEO and SEO in general. And AI did not offer any particular insights that I thought were very useful or helpful. So I had to come up with my own. Imagine that, old school. And I'm going to share them on this episode of the Rocket Chiro Podcast. Now, before I get into that, I do want to say if you want a better chiropractic website or you want help with your local SEO and ranking higher in the Google Maps, then reach out to me at rocketchiro.com. If you want to get more access to me, you want to go beyond the podcast, get some additional content, access to me, you can find that in my Next Step program. It's a great place for chiropractors who are getting started, or if you're feeling a little bit stuck and overwhelmed with business and marketing and you want to push in the right direction, you want to get a really good business and marketing foundation underneath of you, the Next Step program is a great place for that. I would recommend it for any chiropractor that's in those situations. It's just, even if you do it for a month or two, it is just such a valuable resource that goes beyond the podcast. So if you like the podcast, but you want some additional help, check out Next Step. If you want me to take a look at your website and SEO as it currently sits with no obligation whatsoever, you can request a website and SEO review at rocketchiro.com, and I'll be happy to look at your stuff. I'll record a custom video for you about your website and SEO. This isn't a canned thing that you get. I'll send you a lot of content. It's going to be super helpful. If we can work together, great. If we can't, it's still going to be really good, valuable information for you. All right, so Dr. Sean reached out to me and asked about AI, and he had mentioned, and I don't know if I'd said his name already. I started recording this podcast already, and then I got on a tangent and I decided to restart it. So I may have said his name already, but he reached out to me, and I know that some of my friends have said this to me. I know that this is true for myself as far as using AI more for searches. Sean said he's using AI more for searches, that he's noticing that the volume is going up. I don't know where he's getting his numbers from, but this is just a factual thing that people are using AI for search engine results, similar to what we have traditionally done Google for. And so the question was like, how is this going to affect, like for instance, if I say, hey, I'm going to help you with your local SEO, I'm going to help you with the Google Maps. Like, well, is that even important? I mean, is that going to be important in 5 years? Is it going to be important in 10 years? And I think that those are valid questions to ask. Ultimately, I don't know the answer for sure because there's no way to actually know. Things are changing so fast, and there's no way of knowing what this is going to look like 3 years from now or 5 years from now. That almost seems like an eternity away in AI life because AI is changing so quickly. I do have some thoughts. And I think the starting point for this is just to remind you guys what SEO is, because I think if you follow the principle that I have said for a long time on this podcast about what SEO actually is, I think that you're going to be pretty safe going forward. And the way that I explain SEO to people is that what you're trying to do is you're trying to build a relationship with Google so that Google refers to you. And that's really all that Google is Google is a referral source. And in the same way that your patients, your friends, people you network with, people that know you in the community, like they refer to you. If they happen to meet someone who's looking for a chiropractor, they'll say, hey, go see Dr. Sean. Well, the reason they're comfortable doing that is because either they've had a positive experience with you, maybe they know you through somebody else, they've heard good things, you have a good reputation. There's all kinds of trust metrics that go into, or even experience metrics that go into a human being referring to another human being. Now, Google is the same way, but Google doesn't evaluate you the same way that I would, the same way that your patients do. We don't have like, oh, hey, I got adjusted and I feel better, or I had a great conversation with them and they seem very trustworthy and they seem very honest, or I know this person, I've known them my whole life and I can vouch for them. That's how humans do it. Google doesn't do it that way. Google uses different ranking factors, I guess, if you're going to use the SEO term, to determine trust. But that's all it's doing. When it's looking at reviews and it's looking at content on your website and it's looking at citations and it's looking at what people are saying around the internet and it's looking at all of these things, what it's looking at is saying, who is going to be the best possible person to refer to within this local area, because this person is asking for my help. That's how Google looks at it. If we were just talking about Google from if we treated Google like a person, when someone types in chiropractor near me, Google says, oh, okay, Mary wants to find a chiropractor near her. Who do I know and who do I trust? And it's going to look at these ranking factors to determine who it trusts the most. And it's going to make a referral to Mary, hoping that Mary has the best possible experience from that referral. And so the reason that I start there is because if you have that philosophy when it comes to search engine optimization, then you're doing things that are building trust and building authority and building a relationship with Google. Those are very, very safe philosophical ways to go about search engine optimization. When you're looking for gimmicks and you're looking for hacks and you're looking for shortcuts and you're looking for tricks, those are ways to undermine your relationship with Google, because Google's not stupid at all. And the world that exists where it's like, oh, you could just put in certain keywords and that does it. Like you could just do like keyword stuff and just do this and do that. And it's simple. Like just do this little hack and you can get to the top of Google. That world doesn't really exist anymore. And the danger with going down that road of attempting to game the system and trying to figure out ways to get to the top of Google without building a relationship. You're not going to be trustworthy. You're not building authority. You're not going about it the right way so that Google can refer to you safely. You're going about it trying to like cut in line. And when you're doing things like that, I think that you're putting yourself in a vulnerable situation with Google. And the reason I started here is because I also think that as AI develops, you're putting yourself into a bad situation with AI as well. Because, and I think this is the thing you have to also understand when you're talking about Google and talking about AI, is that AI is already a part of Google. You know, it just is. Like it's already integrated into it. Now, how much of it is it? I understand that there's some uniqueness to Google that is not AI specific, but it's already being integrated into it. And the thing that you have to realize about AI and even Google as it exists now is it's getting very, very good at looking around the internet and looking for inconsistencies and looking for validation of that you are a chiropractor worth referring to. You are someone that Google can refer to and trust. And it's getting really, really good at that, which means these gimmicks and these things that you're trying to do for shortcuts, it's harder. It's harder to hide. It's harder to be a crappy chiropractor and rank well. It's harder to play games and rank well. And so AI is not going to make that any easier. AI is actually probably going to be better at looking around the internet for these inconsistencies, picking up like, oh, somebody had a conversation on Reddit about this chiropractor that chiropractor don't even know about. They were mentioned in this Facebook group. They were mentioned here. They were mentioned there. AI is going to get better at that than Google already is. And Google's already pretty darn good at it. So let's get into kind of the main point here, and that is the difference with AI specifically, because I do think that there's a lot of overlap when it comes to AI and Google, and there probably is going to be a lot of overlap. You know, when I told you guys I went to AI and asked AI, like, how does this change things? It basically gave me a bunch of descriptions that sound like this is already how Google operates. I didn't see anything in the description that was given to me that made me think that this is basically like Google and Google Plus or Google whatever, like the same idea. There's nothing different here. But I do think there are some unique AI things when it comes to search. So here we go. Here's my list. 4 things specifically. Number 1 is I do think that AI is probably going to use different signals, where and I looked at something like social media, for instance. Like Google's not heavy on social media. I could see AI caring very much that how many followers you have on Instagram, what people are saying on Instagram, what people are saying on social media, what people are saying on Reddit or something like that, where Google may not know that or take that into consideration. Like Google has its criteria that it uses for search evaluation and building trust. I think that AI is probably going to have a slightly different criteria. I think there's a lot of overlap, but I think that AI is probably going to include some things that Google currently doesn't. Now, I have thought for a while now that Google is probably going to value social media more down the road than it currently does. But as it sits right now, Google doesn't value social media quite as much. And I think AI probably will. I think AI will probably force Google to go down that route if I had to guess. I also think that reviews on other platforms very well could be valued just as much and possibly even more. I don't know. Obviously, Google favors Google reviews. So if you're trying to rank well on Google, focusing on Google reviews makes a heck of a lot of sense. But AI is not going to have that same bias. So it might look at something like healthgrades.com or, Yelp or something. I don't know. I'm just telling you a different platform. It may actually look at that and say, well, this review on this platform is more valuable than 3 reviews over here. That could be the case. Google's obviously going to favor Google. AI probably not going to have the same bias. So I think the overall idea is that there's probably going to be different signals. And as it goes along, we can start figuring out what those signals are. And then if you want to rank well on AI over AI search, then you're going to have to start, making sure you're putting those signals out. It's no different than search engine optimization as it currently is. The other thing I would say is this. I don't think that this is urgent. And the reason I say I don't think this is urgent is just because I'm using AI more and you might be using AI more. And some of the other people who might be on the forefront of this are using AI more. That doesn't mean Google's going to go away anytime soon. It's always a mistake to assume that just because you're doing something that everybody else is, or just because you're not doing something that nobody else is, or just because you're doing something that everybody is, like that, those are just not proper assessments. As far as evaluating human beings as a whole, Google's not going anywhere. Not anytime soon anyway. So number one thing is I think that AI is going to use different signals to determine trust. Number two is I think that AI is going to be better than Google is at spotting fakes and posers. I think that is probably marginally better because I think Google is actually pretty good at this. And I think that as time goes on and Google integrates AI into what they're doing, I think that they're going to get even better at it, which sort of brings me to my original point, which is you're supposed to be building trust with Google. You're not supposed to be gaming the system. But I think AI is probably going to be better at it than what Google is. I think, and I say long term, I think they're going to be better at it. Short term, maybe not, because they're going to have to figure out, AI is going to be figuring out its way of building trust, and there's going to be some trial and error there. Number three is AI is going to use content from prompts, and this is something you can already do. You can make your prompt searchable, and people are doing that, and so it's possible that somebody's prompts and somebody's information about looking for a chiropractor, finding a chiropractor, information about chiropractic, that very well could affect rank. And I would imagine in the same way that Google prefers Google content, AI is probably going to have some sort of its own bias towards its own prompts and information. That would just be my guess. The last thing is this, and I think this is probably the biggest thing, is I think that where you're going to have an issue with optimizing for generally for everyone, because the way that Google works is, you understand the factors, you understand the things that people are searching, you understand what are the things that Google looks at to determine and build trust. But there's not an individuality to Google that is going to be there, that is going to exist with AI. When a person types in, and if you don't use AI, then you probably don't realize this yet. But if I were to type in, I'm looking for a new chiropractor in my area, AI is not just taking that one statement as it sits by itself. AI can now look through all the conversations that I've had with it over the last month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, and AI is going to know so much more about the individual user who's asking that question. And as a result of that, AI is going to be able to give very specific answers. AI could know that, hey, I prefer upper cervical, so AI is already going to know that. I could say, maybe I'm afraid of going to the chiropractor, so AI might look for a chiropractor that specifically says something about gentle care or people that are afraid or something like that. There's going to be so much more information that AI has when someone is consistently using it for search about the person who's doing the search. This is what's going to make kind of optimizing across the board much, much different and maybe even impossible, because each individual person that asks the same question, it's not going to be about like, hey, if you happen to be in the east side of town, I'm going to show up number 2 to everybody searching chiropractor near me. What you're going to have is in the east part of town, when somebody types in chiropractor near me, you have 100 different people that type that in, and they all get 100 different results, because not only the location is taken into consideration, but the individual person and the different things, different discussions, different prompts, different things they've had with AI are taken into that equation when AI makes a recommendation. I just see it being a much more specific, personalized result. And that's something that Google currently does not do. And maybe they'll do that in the future. I don't know, but I could see that being a big difference with AI versus Google. So what does this actually mean? And the reason that I kind of said that last, even though I think it's probably the most interesting thing, the reason is because I wanted to go into a conversation just real quick about content. I think that content is going to become more and more important with content on your Google business profile, content on, and I'm just using it as an example, but content on social media, content on your website, content on, if you're doing a blog, content, whatever, anywhere you're writing content or anywhere you can write content. If AI has the ability to really look around the whole internet and figure out who you are and what you're about, then putting content out there that gives as much information as possible about who you are and what do you do, what makes you unique, what do you help, what do you don't help, who's a good fit, who's not a good fit. What you're doing is you're giving AI more information to make a good choice and make a good decision for the individual people who are asking the question. And if you're not putting out content, then you're just giving AI less information to go from. So I think that content is going to be more important. And I saw somebody the other day that made the comment as like, well, optimized content's not going to matter. I still think we're kind of back to the original, like, what are your core principles? Like if you're optimizing content to answer a specific question, I don't think it matters whether it's Google or AI. If the content is being created to answer a question that people are asking, that content's still valid. Now, there might be some little things you're doing with, H1 tags or with the way you're wording it, or there might be some certain things with internal linking or whatever that maybe AI doesn't care about that stuff at all. So there might be some Google specific things you're doing with content currently that have to do with the structure of the content that is invalid for AI. But I don't think the wording and the content itself is invalid, because what is AI going to use to make decisions? It's going to make content. It's going to make information, or it's going to use content to make its decisions. One of my friends, when I was talking to him about this, we were kind of brainstorming a little bit. He asked me, like, what do I think about AI content as far as like if all the chiropractors are using AI to create content and then AI is recognizing its own content. What I told him is the way I think about it is canned images. There's nothing wrong with using canned images, but there is something, a canned image is recognized with Google as a canned image. And it doesn't generally ever outrank a custom image or unique image with the same content. You see canned images show up when the other images, there isn't images that are available that kind of fit that description. And so I think that there's probably going to be a downgrading of just pure generic AI content relative to more custom content. And now that could be more custom content within the context of AI, because you can make your content as you're creating it in AI more uniquely yours with the help of AI. And I know that I'm getting into the weeds with some of this stuff, but I do think that it's still kind of the same thing. It's still the same thing. Like, your content's going to matter. If you're using AI to help you write content, if that content is not valuable, interesting content, it's not going to rank well. If it's not answering the questions that people are asking, it's not going to rank well. If you're cutting corners and just doing as low grade AI content as you could possibly do, and there's no uniqueness, there's no effort, there's no thought that goes into it, you're not using it as a tool, and you're a craftsman using a tool well, then I don't think that stuff's ever going to rank well in a world where everyone's doing it. So I guess the general idea would be if it's super easy to do and everybody is doing it, it probably doesn't really put you ahead because everyone's doing it and it's super easy. That's just generally how that stuff works. So final thoughts. Most likely there's going to be a lot of overlap between Google Rank and AI Rank. Ranking requires a lot of intentionality, consistency, and just a lot of work. It doesn't happen accidentally, generally speaking. I think reviews are still going to matter. Now they might be more valuable on other platforms down the road, but they're going to matter. It's about the human experience, which also brings me to my next point. I think the interaction is still important. Mentions around the internet, people interacting on social. I think that's going to be more important down the road. Things like backlinks and people interacting with your website. Even Google tracking the Google business profile and how much time people spend on it and stuff like that. Like human interactions, people asking questions on your Google business profile, people leaving reviews, like you responding to the review, all that stuff matters, and interactions are still going to matter down the road. I think depth of knowledge and subject matter is going to matter more. If you want to be the shoulder doctor or the sports doctor in your town, I think that you're going to have to make more of an effort to create content and put information out there to clearly distinguish yourself as this is definitely the shoulder expert. This is definitely the neck doctor. This is definitely the back doctor. This is definitely the pediatric chiropractor. Like, I think that we're just going to have to raise the bar with content and with how much information you're putting yourself out there and really establishing yourself as an expert. Because the world of I'm not an expert, I'm brand new, I'm putting no effort into this, and I'm going to put a few keywords out there and rank well and try to fool Google, that just doesn't exist anymore, and it's not going to get any easier as time goes on. Last thought is this. I think that staying ahead is easier than getting ahead. I believe this about Google. I tell my clients when I do local SEO with them, like, getting you up near the top is a lot easier than getting you at the top. The closer you get to number one, the harder it is, because you have to outrank people who are already there. Like, they're there for a reason. And so I think that's probably going to be true when it comes to like AI search. I think that this is a new thing. Chiropractors that are around now have an advantage over chiropractors that are going to get out 5 years from now and start their practice. And so putting stuff out there, putting content out there, doing things to rank well and getting to the top as quickly as possible is going to be really helpful. And staying there is going to be easier than actually getting there. So I guess that's my way of saying start now, like do something now. All right, guys, that's it. Those are some of my thoughts about how AI is going to change things and how it's a little bit different than Google. I might be right. I might be wrong. I don't know. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing. If you want help with your website and SEO, reach out to me through Rocket Chiro. If you want to go beyond the podcast, check out my Next Step program. If you haven't left a review for the podcast, I'd really appreciate that. If you know someone who doesn't listen and you could share the podcast with them, that would be super cool. I will talk to you guys on the next episode. See ya.